Ireland's Prime Minister has warned of a return to sectarian violence in Northern Ireland after another night of unrest in Belfast. The warning comes as Ireland and the United Kingdom mark the 23rd anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement, which ended nearly 3 decades of conflict. There was more violence on Friday, despite calls for calm following the death of Prince Philip. Scuffles between protesters and police led to 14 officers being injured. The tensions mainly stemmed from the pro-British Unionist community in Belfast, and it's fueled by bitterness over the Brexit agreement, which imposes border checks between the province and the rest of the UK.
A head-on attack with a burning car. It's hard to say how many rioters there are. Some disappear down side streets, then others come out. These young unionists threw stones, iron sheets and Molotov cocktails at police on Friday night for over 2 hours. Law enforcement advanced with caution to avoid provoking the youth. On Saturday, Cooper McClure walked us through his neighborhood. He teaches young people here how to box. He says many of them feel angry and unwanted.
The See England are sort of like saying, throw Northern Ireland into the road. They don't really mean much. So the young lads are maybe thinking, well, we're not part of Britain anymore, and they don't want a united Ireland. So they're stuck in the middle, that nobody wants them. So I think there's a lot of anger coming out of that.
In pro-union neighborhoods, many feel betrayed. Brexit has cut them off from the rest of the United Kingdom. Even though Northern Ireland is still part of the UK, many people feel they've been cut loose from their homeland. Some radical groups are encouraging young people to take to the street, like Joel, who was arrested after the riots.
Our identity is under attack. And when they hear those words, when they hear that stuff, and then they're told, all right, and the way that you can help is by going out there and throwing bombs, sticks and stones at people, they're more than willing to do so.
In many pro-union neighborhoods, young people are dealing with poverty and hopelessness. Violence is also an outlet for frustration. Cooper McClure has tried to offer a place where local youths can feel like they belong. At his boxing club, normally they would be training, eating and chatting. But they aren't allowed to because of coronavirus restrictions. He's worried about losing them to violence.
I don't think anybody has any influence at all over these young lads. And I actually think there's elements of older ones pushing the young lads forward, you know. But us as a club here at the minute, we're closed because of COVID. We have no face-to-face interaction with our lads. And it's really hard that we can't tell them, just do not go near these hotspots, you know.
No one knows where the violence will lead, but it's almost certain people in Northern Ireland haven't seen the end of unrest.
Well, joining me live now from Belfast is Henry McDonald. He's an author and Ireland correspondent. Thank you very much indeed for being with us here on DW. So for decades, it seemed like peace had returned to Northern Ireland. And now this. What's happened?
Well, basically, you have a crisis of confidence in the unionist community. They believe that the protocol which the European Union negotiated with Great Britain to keep Northern Ireland in the single market has, in a sense, economically decoupled or separated Northern Ireland from the rest of the UK. And that has created a kind of constitutional uncertainty, added into other factors such as, poverty and ongoing sectarian division, which was not addressed by the Good Friday Agreement. You've got a toxic cocktail of social forces that produced the violence of the last 8 days. But I would say tonight it's relatively calm. It's not that there's not as much tension around, which indicates that the rioting we saw is petering out, at least for now.
OK, well, Henry, the Belfast City Councillor, Brian Smith, has been speaking about the reasons for the unrest. Let's listen to this.
You're talking about young people who have no hope, little opportunity, poor educational outcomes and training. Well, their life chances are already massively affected through the circumstances and the structural inequalities that we're dealing with post-conflict, and now the ramifications of Brexit. I think Northern Ireland has been used as a pawn. It's been used as a pawn by the British government. It's been used as a pawn by the European Union.
Now, there were warnings that the split between London and Brussels could potentially lead to violence in Northern Ireland. What could have been done to prevent something like this?
Well, I would echo what the councillor said, but I would add that also the Dublin government also played a role in using Northern Ireland as a pawn in this big power game about how to sort out Brexit. What needs to be done, I think, in my opinion, is some modification of the protocol to lessen the disruption of the flow of goods from Great Britain into Northern Ireland, to undermine the impression that somehow Northern Ireland is 1 foot outside of the UK without the consent of its population. And remember, consent of the population is the bedrock of the Good Friday Agreement made 23 years ago. There can't be any constitutional change unless a majority vote for it. And the critics of the agreement say, well, the protocol imposed by London and indeed Brussels flies in the face of that. It does undermine the consent principle. And this is a very, very dangerous thing. And that's why we've had 8 days serious disorder.
And like you said, today marks the 23rd anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. Would you say it's under risk of being under threat?
I think it is at risk. I mean, it is proved to be durable. It has survived massacres. It has survived serious public disorder and sectarian rioting in the past. What makes this time different is the argument about an Irish Sea border, because that raises the entire question of the constitutional existence of Northern Ireland. Which state is it in? And that needs to be addressed. And it does put the agreement at risk, for sure.
OK, Henry McDonald live for us in Belfast. Thank you so much for your time.